According to the 1978 Land Use Act, which says every land is vested under the control of the state government. This simply means that all lands belongs to the government. However, before this Land Use Act was introduced in 1978, there was no standardized legal systems for verifying land ownership. Land ownership was primarily governed by customary tenure systems and colonial land policies. In urban and colonial controlled areas, some written agreements, purchase receipts, and deeds were used, but these are not legally registered. In rural areas, land was owned by families, communities, and traditional rulers. People proved their land ownership through community recognition, inheritance, continuous use for farming, symbolic markers, and witnesses. Now, the introduction of this land use act definitely centralized land ownership under the government, requiring legal documents for verification of ownership. And some of these principles are still used in today's world to verify land ownership, despite everything being modernized with legal documentation. Ever since this act was introduced in 1978, we have seen verification of ownership go from customary tenure system to legal documentation. But yet, many people don't know about land titles in Nigeria, which is why I'm making this video for you today, to understand the history of land ownership before the Land Use Act of 1978 and the types of land titles currently in use to avoid falling victims to scam. So, here are the land titles we have in Nigeria. Number 1, we have the Registered Survey Plan. This is a very important document you should look at for whenever you are buying a landed property, as it shows the exact location, the size of the land, and the boundaries of the land. It is only handled by a licensed surveyor and approved by the Surveyor General of the state. So whenever you buy a land, make sure to look out for your survey plan. Number 2, we have the Deed of Assignment. This is a legal document that transfers ownership from one party to another, and this must be registered at the land registry of the state your land is located at. This deed of assignment must contain details like the location, the size, the buyer's and the seller's information, the signatures, the witness details, and transaction terms. Number 3, we have the Excision and Gazette. Excision is the process whereby the government releases some part of the land they acquired from a community or an individual back to them for community development. While Gazette is the process where the government announces to the public that the social land has been exercised or free from government acquisition. Now, in this case, you get documents like C of O or governor's consent. Number 4, we have the governor's consent title. Whenever you are buying a property with a C of O title, make sure the seller provides the governor's consent, because according to the Land Use Act, all land transactions require the approval of the state governor before they are valid. This means that without the governor's consent, you as the buyer will not have full right to the property you bought with an existing C of O. Number 5, we have the Certificate of Occupancy, popularly known as C of O. A C of O is a legal document issued by the government that confirms that you have the right to own and use a piece of land for a specified period of 99 years. This document serves as a proof of ownership, protecting you against disputes and illegal claims. The document must outline details like the ownership name, land details, and purpose of use, whether you are buying for residential, commercial, or agricultural purposes, and lease term. It is the highest land title in Nigeria and increases property's value, making it easier for you to either resell, transfer, or use as collaterals for loan. Whenever you buy a landed property and you have the money, make sure to apply for the C of O. Number 6, which is the last one, is the receipt of payment. A receipt is not necessarily a land document, but it must be given to you after you have purchased a landed property, as it must contain the exact amount you paid for the land, the signatures of both parties involved. These are the major land titles we have in Nigeria. And as a real estate investor, whether you are buying for the first time or you are a seasoned investor, ensure that your land documents are issued to you whenever you buy a landed property. And you need to make sure that they are legally registered at the land registry of the state you bought the land from to avoid disputes and illegal claims. In other words, we have talked about the types of land titles we have in Nigeria and how they secure land ownership. But have you ever wondered why the Nigerian government introduced the Land Use Act in 1978? What really changed and why was it necessary? Well, in my next video, I will break down the reasons behind the introduction of the Land Use Act and how it still affects the land ownership today. So make sure to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification button for more videos like this. See you on the next one.